Once upon a time, in the year 1828, there lived a young 19-year-old in a quaint village, far away from the bustling cities and grandeur of the world. He was just an ordinary village employee, leading a simple life. The village was a place where time seemed to stand still, and dreams were as distant as the horizon. One fateful day, news arrived in the village. Like a whisper carried by the wind, the first American trading city had reached the port of New Orleans. This was a momentous event, and the young village employee, full of curiosity and wonder, couldn't resist the opportunity to see what this new world had to offer. Stepping into the grand city of New Orleans was like stepping into a different universe. The young villager was awestruck by the towering buildings, the bustling streets, and the colossal ships that lined the shore. It was a sight he had never imagined, and it left an indelible mark on his youthful mind. However, amidst the grandeur of the city, a scene unfolded before his eyes that would forever be etched in the deepest corners of his heart. It was a stark contrast to the splendor of the city in the heart of the market. Human beings were being treated like commodities. Chained and loaded on and off ships, they were being bought and sold. What made this sight even more distressing were the advertisements that lined the market, specifying the days, times, and the number of people to be auctioned. Even the count of men, women, and children was listed. The chilling detail that cash was the only accepted form of payment added to the cruelty. But the most tragic irony was that all these people, treated as property, were black, and they were enslaved by their white counterparts in America. The young villager, standing there in the market, felt an overwhelming sense of grief and helplessness. His heart ached for those who suffered, but he knew he was just a minor employee of a small boat. In the face of this horrifying reality, he felt utterly powerless. Yet, a spark of determination flickered within him as he whispered to his partner, "If I ever get the chance, I'll do everything in my power to stop this inhuman business." With that declaration, the 18-year-old villager had a dream so profound and ambitious that it would require him to become one of the most powerful figures of his time. Little did he know that this dream would shape his destiny and led him to become one of the most iconic figures in American history. Now, let's shift our tale to a different time and place, to the picturesque town of New Salem, nestled along the banks of the Sangamon River. This is where the next chapter of our story unfolds, a chapter in the life of a towering figure named Abraham Lincoln. Life in New Salem was far from easy for young Abraham. He had faced adversity from a very tender age. When he was just 9 years old, he lost his mother to a tragic incident involving a poisonous herb in her milk. His father, in the face of grief, decided to remarry, and this brought a stepmother into Abraham's life. Their relationship was relatively uneventful, but Abraham's relationship with his father was strained, to say the least. His father, a stern and demanding man, didn't make life any easier for Abraham. Taunts and physical punishments were not uncommon. Yet, despite these hardships, Abraham Lincoln was a determined soul. He had a basic knowledge of reading and writing, and he took it upon himself to memorize passages from the Bible and poetry from Shakespeare. However, there were certain subjects where he struggled, like arithmetic and differentiation. His appearance was marked by peculiar and unwanted cuts on his face, setting him apart from others. Additionally, his English language skills were far from perfect, and his accent gave him a distinctive touch. Yet, his towering height, standing at an impressive 6 feet 4 inches, made him an unmistakable presence in the community. It was this unique combination of physical stature and unconventional personality that made Abraham Lincoln a memorable figure in New Salem. As he embarked on his career as a storekeeper, he quickly learned that the path ahead was far from smooth. The small settlement offered only a handful of customers, and his career as a storekeeper came to an abrupt end when the store owner had to close shop due to continuous losses. This marked the first badge of self-earned failure in Lincoln's life. Nevertheless, even in these early days, Lincoln had begun to earn a reputation for his honesty. There was a memorable incident where a customer purchased goods from his store, and as she left, Lincoln realized that the weight of the items was not accurate. Without hesitation, he collected the surplus items and personally delivered them to the woman's house. This act, among others, earned him the endearing moniker of Honest Abe in New Salem. With this reputation, Abraham Lincoln decided to step into the political arena and participate in the state election of 1832. He believed that the people of New Salem, who knew him as the honest man, would support his bid. He envisioned winning the hearts of the people of his town and surrounding areas, securing a seat in the State Assembly of Illinois. However, his strong reputation was not enough, and he faced his second badge of self-earned failure when he lost the election. Yet, despite these early setbacks, Lincoln was undeterred. His journey had just begun, and he had much more to experience. After his defeat in the election, the 23-year-old found himself empty-handed and hungry. To make ends meet, he turned to manual labor and worked as a woodcutter. He later took up the role of a postman, delivering letters from door to door, and even joined surveyors in their work. Still, he felt that these jobs did not align with his true calling and aspirations. Abraham Lincoln was a man of ambition, and he saw something more for himself. He even tried his hand at wrestling, using his remarkable height to challenge New Salem's reigning wrestling champion. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't secure a victory, but some say he may have lost intentionally to win the champion's sympathy. What was clear in this stage of Lincoln's life was that he was building a reputation for himself, not only as an honest man, but also as someone who was persistent and resilient in the face of failures. His path was filled with obstacles and self-earned failures, but he continued to forge ahead, determined to make his mark on the world. Abraham Lincoln's early experiences in New Salem were just the beginning of a remarkable journey. His story is a testament to the power of determination, resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of one's dreams. The seed of his greatness was sown in the humble village and the small town of New Salem, and it would grow into a legacy that would shape the course of a nation. And this is where our tale finds its resting place, for the life of Abraham Lincoln is a story that will be told for generations to come. A story of a humble village employee who rose to become one of the most iconic figures in American history. Abraham's adventures began when he formed an inseparable bond with a group of boys and a formidable wrestling champion named Armstrong. These friendships would prove to be instrumental in shaping his future political career. But Abraham was driven by more than just companionship. His heart yearned for a partnership, leading him to open the Berry Lincoln store alongside his friend William Berry. While the store had its moments of success, politics remained Abraham's true calling. In 1834, his dedication paid off as he won a seat in the State Assembly, marking his first significant achievement in a life that had seen its fair share of setbacks. However, financial struggles persisted, and his role in the Assembly brought in just $3 per session. The store was soon abandoned as his political commitments grew. The year 1835 brought with it a series of heartaches. First, he lost his close friend and business partner, William Berry, and the Berry Lincoln store met its unfortunate end, leaving a daunting debt of $1,800. To add to his woes, Abraham's heart had been captured by Anne Rutledge, a woman of extraordinary beauty. Their love was genuine, but Anne had promised herself to another. Psychologists say love is a difficult path to retrace once it's walked, and Abraham and Anne shared many hours together. Tragedy struck in the form of a typhoid epidemic, claiming Anne's life. The place where they had met, Anne's cabin, was marked by a plaque, and a nearby banyan tree bore witness to Abraham's heart-wrenching grief. With 3 heavy burdens on his heart, Abraham often visited Anne's grave. 2 years later, he made the bittersweet decision to bid farewell to New Salem and move to Springfield. The town he had once dreamed of was fading into the past, as it had been established for the passing steamboats that never came. In Springfield, a new chapter unfolded. Abraham began his career in law, earning a comfortable living that gradually chipped away at his debts. Love also found him in the form of Mary Todd, a woman from a noble family. Yet, the spectre of slavery continued to haunt him. His fervent belief that slavery was a moral wrong put him at odds with his political party, and even his staunch supporters distanced themselves. Disillusioned with politics, Abraham turned his attention to advocacy, leaving behind his father and stepmother. Life might have continued quietly if not for the tempestuous times in America. The nation was divided over the question of whether slavery should be abolished. In the 1850s, this tension reached a breaking point, leading to the American Civil War, where both sides fought for their beliefs. Abraham, having put aside his law books, took to the public square. In a bustling market, he listened to Senator Stephen Douglas advocating for the continuation of slavery. Unable to remain silent, Abraham stepped forward and boldly declared that he would reveal the flaws in Douglas's arguments. The people of Springfield, familiar with Abraham's character, gathered to hear him speak. For 3 hours, he eloquently argued against the institution of slavery, emphasizing that all people, regardless of their skin color, were human beings entitled to freedom. His words resonated deeply with the crowd, setting the stage for a series of speeches that would ultimately shape the course of history. And so, in the face of adversity and moral conviction, Abraham Lincoln's journey took an extraordinary turn, transforming him into a beacon of hope and change. In the ever-evolving tapestry of American history, Abraham Lincoln's ascent continued. His unwavering stance against slavery made him increasingly popular among anti-slavery activists. As the old Whig Party faded away, a new force emerged in the form of the Republican Party, and Lincoln eagerly joined their ranks. In 1858, he made another bid for the senatorship, pitting himself once again against his old rival, Stephen Douglas. Lincoln decided on a novel approach to secure victory. He challenged Douglas to a series of 7 3-hour debates in various Illinois cities. On one side stood the rotund 5'4" Stephen Douglas, aptly nicknamed the Little Giant. On the other was the lanky 6'4" Lincoln, affectionately called the Long Abe. These debates weren't just a battle of ideas, they became a sensation, drawing massive crowds and even peddlers selling badges bearing the names of Douglas and Lincoln. What was brewing beneath the surface, however, was a media revolution. With the advent of the telegraph and print journalism, news could now spread rapidly across America, changing the landscape of political discourse. Lincoln's anti-slavery arguments resonated across the nation, while Douglas's pro-slavery speeches faced fierce opposition. Despite losing the senatorship election, Lincoln's name had become synonymous with the anti-slavery movement, with whispers of him as a potential U.S. presidential candidate. This notion seemed far-fetched for a man who had recently lost an election. Yet, it gained traction when his home state of Illinois endorsed him as a presidential candidate. At the Chicago National Convention, the new Republican Party seriously considered Abraham Lincoln for the role. The consensus was that they needed a strong candidate to secure the presidency, and Lincoln fit the bill. Surprisingly, no one stood against him, and Abraham Lincoln, the former failed businessman, heartbroken lover, and defeated senator, was nominated as the U.S. presidential candidate. The news reached him while he was playing handball hundreds of miles away. His hometown celebrated with joyful chants as the nomination essentially equated to victory, given the divisions within the Democratic Party. As the election unfolded, Lincoln faced fierce opposition in the southern states, where he had virtually no support. Some didn't even include his name on the ballot. However, when the results came in, Lincoln emerged as the victor. Interestingly, his total votes were 300,000 fewer than the combined Democratic votes, but their division played to his advantage. Lincoln won 180 electoral votes from 18 states, securing his position as the new president. Yet, Lincoln's triumph marked a pivotal moment in American history. The southern states, unwilling to accept the outcome, declared independence, forming the Confederate States of America. The nation was on the brink of civil war as Lincoln prepared to take the oath of office. The challenges ahead were monumental, but first he needed to make the perilous journey to Washington, D.C., where threats against his life loomed large. In an era without airplanes, he had to travel the 150-mile route by steam locomotive, facing danger from pro-slavery, anti-Lincoln groups along the way. The nation held its breath, wondering if Lincoln would make it to the Capitol unscathed. As the 16th President of the United States, his actions in office would not only define his legacy, but also shape the course of American history. The life and rise of Abraham Lincoln paint a vivid portrait of a man who, against all odds, ascended to the highest office in the land. His steadfast opposition to slavery and unwavering commitment to his principles catapulted him to the forefront of American politics. Lincoln's journey was marked by multiple failures, from business ventures to the tragic loss of his love and Rutledge. But it was these setbacks that ultimately forged his character and resilience. His determination to address the issue of slavery, despite numerous political challenges and personal hardships, earned him the respect and admiration of anti-slavery activists across the nation. The Republican Party's nomination of Lincoln for the presidency was a turning point in American politics. The division within the Democratic Party worked to his advantage, despite not winning the popular vote. His election triggered a dramatic response from the Southern states, leading to the secession of the Confederacy and the impending American Civil War. As he prepared to take the oath of office, Lincoln faced threats to his life, reflecting the deeply divided and tumultuous times in which he assumed the presidency. His leadership during the Civil War and his Emancipation Proclamation were pivotal moments that not only preserved the Union, but also set the nation on a path toward the abolition of slavery. In retrospect, Lincoln's remarkable journey from a small-town lawyer to the 16th President of the United States exemplifies the power of resilience, unwavering principles, and the ability to inspire and lead a nation through its darkest hours. His legacy as a great leader, emancipator, and unifier endures to this day, making Abraham Lincoln one of the most revered figures in American history.